This week, Donald Trump's approval rating dropped to 34%, the lowest of any U.S. president ever. If you don't count the day that the Russians released Polaroids of Gerald Ford getting peed on by a prostitute at a Motel 6 in Moscow.
The president wakes up this morning to an approval rating that has dropped significantly.
Polls are so ubiquitous. Anytime you turn on your TV, you are bound to hear the results of one. Even on shows that aren't about politics. I heard one on Modern Family. Oh, I'm being told that Cam and Mitchell were talking about different polls. You see, there's a secret that the media does not want you to know. Polls are to science what Bigfoot is to animals. Sure, everyone loves to hear all about the latest Bigfoot sighting, but once you look closely, examine and ask a few questions, you discover that polls, like Bigfoot, are 100% total bullshit. Welcome, I am your host, John Hotchkiss. Up first, the results from the latest Be Less Stupid poll. We asked, did Donald Trump collude with Russia to win the presidency? 96% of voters said no, 1% said yes, and 3% said fuck off, Donald Trump is Jesus' gift to white Christians, and anyone who called the Diary of Anne Frank fake news. I will have more on this poll in just a bit. But first, the year was 1935 that the Gallup organization conducted its first political poll. Taken at the tail end of the Depression, voters were asked how effective Roosevelt's relief and recovery programs were, and if this hat made Eleanor Roosevelt's ass look fat. FYI, it did. Polls offer a snapshot of public opinion. A group of people are asked a bunch of specifically designed questions to determine how they feel about one issue or another, and then those answers are meant to be illustrative of the opinion of the entire population. Businesses use polls to see if customers like their new products or their messaging. Politicians allegedly consider them when they're deciding how to vote on a particular piece of legislation. If dozens of polls conducted over many years revealed that, say, millions of Americans don't have affordable health care, then politicians would likely draft legislation to help provide it. Unless you're a Republican who would rather see sick people die than insurance companies make even 1 penny less profit. But unlike laws, polls have no tangible consequence. If Trump has a low approval rating, he isn't fined or flogged or fired. In fact, as Trump demonstrates, even if you have low approval numbers, you get to keep your job and strip the arts budget to the point where if Elmo wants health insurance, he's going to have to give twice as many hand jobs behind the 7-Eleven. Even worse, and quite frankly more importantly, polls are routinely wrong. For example, the night before the British went to vote on staying in the European Union or exiting, the polls had stay winning by 10%. When the votes were tallied, exit won by 4%. In the polls conducted during the run-up to the 2016 presidential election, the results were so outrageously out of line, Gretchen Carlson sued them and was paid $40 million in hush money.
New ABC News Washington Post poll out today shows Donald Trump leading Hillary Clinton by 1 point. This
News SurveyMonkey national poll shows Hillary Clinton leading Donald Trump by 4 points among registered voters.
This is where we have the race. Clinton doesn't lose anything blue on this map. She's the next president of the United States. But
Donald Trump is the president of the United States.
The last time that this many polls were wrong, Hitler invaded Poland. For our poll about Trump's collusion with Russia, more than 1,000 people responded. And remember, 97% of them said Trump did not collude with Russia. So, here's the thing that I forgot to mention about our poll. Everyone was a member of a pro-Trump Facebook group, like the Trump Train, Trump's Basket of Deplorables, Patriots who support Trump, and Donald Trump gives me an angry erection. I might have made up that last one. And that's the first of many problems with polls. The people giving their opinion are probably not a representative sample of United States voters. 20 years ago, polling companies used computers to randomly call landline phones in people's homes. Back then, more than 98% of homes had phones. So if you randomly dialed 20,000 landlines and just say 7 or 8% of the people picked up, with 1,800 people surveyed, you probably got a pretty accurate and statistically significant audience. Today, the number of homes that don't have a landline is 53%. And a preponderance of those that do have a landline are over the age of 60. This Gallup poll says that 70% of the people polled were on their cell phone, which means they're probably younger voters. So you've got a preponderance of opinion from a group that traditionally doesn't come out and vote. Plus, we know that young people have become reluctant to answer their cell if it's a number that they don't recognize, which means that perhaps Trump's approval ratings are determined by a group so desperate for friendship that they'll even talk to the guy from Gallup. Another issue with the polls is that everyone lies. Ask a friend how much money they make, and whatever it is, they add 25%. Ask a girl what she weighs, and no matter what it is, she subtracts 12%. Quite frankly, who would have ever thought that we would reach a day where people were more comfortable going to a sex dungeon to put on a diaper to get spanked, but they lie about who they're going to vote for? That's because lots of people are just, quite frankly, reluctant to talk about politics. Maybe they have a difference of opinion with the people at their office, or with their spouse, or their community, or their church, or they have a conscience, but they live with a member of the Tea Party. People also sometimes will just tell a pollster what they think that the pollster wants to hear. And by the way, it's not just the phone. Polls are also conducted online, like this one that I saw on the site for Mother Jones, or this one from Zogby, which asked 300 business leaders if they approved of President Trump. Of course, liberals are going to yell impeach. And as we saw in my Facebook poll, people on websites are self-selecting, and thus poll results from them, quite frankly, are just not accurate. Then there's the difficulty in determining who you're actually speaking with on the internet. I've heard about Democrats, for example, who pretend to be Republicans. It's got a name similar to catfishing. They call it pussy fishing. And if it's during an election year, pollsters try and reach likely voters. The problem is that there's no branch of science that can accurately predict future behavior, unless the behavior you're predicting is, we'll say something vaguely racist, and the person doing it is a member of Trump's cabinet. You see, that's because there are two yous. There's the current you, the one who's interested in immediate gratification, the one who tells a pollster, absolutely, women should be paid equal money for equal work, and they also say, hell yes, of course I'm going to vote on election day. The problem is that there is also future you. Future you sleeps late, drinks too much, thinks that women are overpaid, especially when they're giving lap dances. Future you forgets that it's election day, or decides that your candidate is a shoo-in and doesn't need one more vote, so instead goes to the polls at the strip club. Put another way, current you is down to fuck some shit up. Future you is fucked up and takes a shit wherever he wants. Future you is unreliable and needs a diaper. And by the way, it's not just me saying that poll results aren't reliable, difficult to interpret, and easily manipulated.
So, if you're one of those people like me who are watching the polls closely in the run-up to the election, you might have woken up that next day and thought, I don't think they did a very good job on this one.
The polling companies that conduct these polls all but say it too. Here's Zogby's fine print. Based on a confidence interval of 95%, the margin of error is plus or minus 5.7 percentage points. And Gallup's is nearly identical. In this Gallup poll of business executives, the 34% who strongly disapprove of the president, right? Also, it could be as much as 40%, or as little as 28%. They're not sure. And by the way, those are two very different stories. Oh, and further undermining our confidence in the outcome of polls, polling companies also make up a math formula that will add or subtract people's votes based on national demographics, gender, age, race, population density, and what time that they called. So, if poll numbers aren't reliable, or even necessarily the opinions of a representative sample of voters, why the fuck does the news keep telling us the results of polls?
According to a Fox News poll, 43% of voters approve of the job the president is doing.
That's because there isn't enough news. And they need to tell voters things. And it's not like you can turn on CNN and Anderson Cooper's going to say, hey, remember yesterday? Yeah, things are pretty much the same today, just like the day before, and the day before that. That shit doesn't sell soap or diapers. Hey, go to our streaming service at factbox.tv. That's factbox.tv, where you can see, oh my God, we've got 40 episodes of Be Less Stupid, and they're all free. Plus, you can check out all of our other factual entertainment shows. If you like shows like Mythbusters, The Daily Show, if you like pizza or explosions, you will love all our other programming, 100% factual entertainment. I want to say thank you for watching Be Less Stupid, and go check out our streaming service at factbox.tv.